And we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to Beyond the Tool Belt episode 305. I am your host, Ty Cobb Backer. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday edition. We will be right back after our short intro from our sponsors.
TC Backer. Roofing, siding, windows, gutter, solar. Roofing, siding, windows, gutter, solar. TC Backer.
Welcome to Behind the Tool Belt, where the stories are bold, the conversations are real, and the insights come to you live, raw, and uncut. Every week, host Ty Cobb Backer sits down to bring you the stories, the struggles, the lessons learned, and the wins. No filters, no scripts, just the truth. Please welcome your host of Behind the Tool Belt, Ty Cobb Backer.
Let's go. Welcome back, everybody, Behind the Tool Belt. Thank you for joining us on this amazing Wednesday. I think they're calling for some rain tomorrow. Sorry that we are late. I had to take a moment to get my head out of my ass. And here we are. We are live and on time. So that means we are on time. So anyhow, I want to talk today about that voice, that loud ass voice that chooses that voice that tells you, that little bitch voice. I'm going to call it the bitch voice, right? That you listen to every day. And I'm going to explain to you where that might come from, okay? And it's the stuff that you input, between your ears, okay? The stuff you listen to on the way to the job site, between calls, lunch, the shows you play, the people you stand next to. Okay. The posts that you scroll, those inputs are framing your decisions before you even leave the house in the morning. Okay. Today we're going to tighten up those inputs a little bit. We're going to open your minds without losing our standards and drop the victim mindset and keep pushing when the work gets heavy. And we know it gets heavy. And so welcome back to Behind the Tool Belt, where we talk about building things that last, whether it be businesses, crews, habits, mindsets. I am your host, Ty Cobb Backer. So let's start with an input audit. Let's do a little audit, because I've had to do quite a few of these here over this past our season 5 of Behind the Tool Belt, coming up on season 6 already. I'm thinking about 7-ish weeks. Yeah. So talk about some of the things I've done, experienced here, things I'm working on, things I think pretty much most of the stuff I'm going to talk about today I'm currently doing. I'm not going to say that I've been doing them forever, but I want to encourage everybody else and also inform them some of the things that are working, have worked for me. And one of them is an input audit. And what I mean by input, I mean by, what are you feeding your head? What are you feeding your body? What shit are you putting into your brain? What shit are you putting into your body? What are you reading? What are you watching? What are you listening to? Who are you standing next to? These are all things that are shaping your thinking and your behavior, whether you know it or not. And I think about this, and I think I've talked about this before in with Vic, and I'm sure it's like, when we were growing up as children, right, and the lessons that our parents were trying to teach us, and our most influential teachers, it shaped us, shaped our thinking, molded our minds, and right, wrong, or indifferent. It was just the only thing that we heard. It was the only lessons we were taught. Looking back on that, it's like, man, I wish we would have learned how to balance checkbooks and open up a bank account, things that were like relevant to the shit that we go through as adults, but And there's a lot of diversity going on in the world today. And I have my own battles between my own ears that I have to fight on a day-to-day basis. So I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but things that have helped me, combat, a lot of that stuff. And try to, keep an open mind without losing judgment, and how to see multiple ways to do things and not fall into my way or the highway. And trust me, I've dealt with that. So we're going to tackle dropping the victim mindset and moving to more ownership. And we'll finish with pushing through tough stretches and seeing the lessons as the real payoff and not the finish line. So you'll hear probably some guided questions that I'm actually going to want people to answer. I want you to answer them out loud, jot them down, put them in the comments, or give me your questions. You can reach me at ty@behindthetoolbelt.com. And if you want me to, I'll post them, or we'll talk about them next week. But if you're on the road, answer these questions in your head. If you're at the shop, grab a notepad, wherever you're at in the office. So I'm going to start with something probably simple and uncomfortable. But this is the other thing I was thinking about too. It's my outputs are downstream from my input. So essentially what I'm inputting will be the end result of my outcome. Okay. And every day I open up gates. Every day we open up gates. Okay. What we read, text, the estimates that we look at, the spec sheets, the books, the post, things that we watch, job site videos, new clips, YouTube how-to reels, things that we listen to, podcast, playlist, conversations in the truck on the way to the job site or at lunchtime, and the people that we stand next to, your wife, your buddies, your friends, it could be somebody on your crew. I take input from our suppliers, manufacturing, the neighbor at the hardware store. You know what I mean? And then I form my own epiphanies. I form my own opinions. And those are gates. Okay. That content shapes what you notice, what you miss, how and what you believe, and how you behave, especially when the pressure hits. Okay. You already know this, for those of us that are in construction, we already know this is true with tools. And I'm going to use a warped level for an example. You use a warped level, the line looks straight, but it isn't. And inputs work the same way, if that makes any sense. I've read data sheets that were inaccurate, but I believed them. I've had a bowed level that appeared to be showing things level or plumb, and in fact, they weren't. A lot of times in the siding world, if it looks level from the ground, it's level. It's our perception, right? And a lot of times, the only thing wrong with the world is the 6 inches between our freaking ears. And my thinking was screwed up too early on. I remember there was this job site. It seemed like it was taking forever. And I just want to share this quick story. And of course, I was in charge of it. And every day I would show up and I would look for problems. And I would, start screaming and barking orders, and nothing seemed to get any better. I couldn't figure out why. I just couldn't scream any louder. I couldn't drop any more mother effers, and I just couldn't figure out why. I just couldn't get fire under everybody's ass. And I looking back today, it's, my perception of things is completely different, where if I show up on a job site, I'm looking at things like, has it been too windy? Do they have the right equipment? Is there enough manpower here? Was there material shortages? Was there, I try to look for, yes, issues, but also things that I'm in control of. And that is getting more equipment out there, getting more manpower out there, ordering the right material. So I want to take a minute here, and I'm going to ask 5 questions, and you can answer these questions out loud or grab a note. So, what's the last thing you read that genuinely improved your work? Okay. So there's read, there's watch. Okay, watch. Which channels or reels actually lifted your standard? And which ones just spiked your emotions? Because I know I'll watch something, man, and it just kind of gets me pissed, and I got to keep scrolling. Fortunately, on my feed, I have fishing, golfing, and real positive shit that I'm into as far as my hobbies go and stuff like that. And I'll get sucked into some pretty, educational stuff when it comes to fishing techniques or golf swings and stuff like that. Work, and it's work related stuff. I'll comment and like and love and share and stuff like that. And then we listen, right? Which voices leave you more disciplined afterwards, not just more fired up, right? So I had to step away from people, places, things, and situations that tend to either fire me up negatively, not necessarily positively. I like to listen to things that actually get me fired up, whether it's good music or an amazing podcast host, and I got quite a few of them. And music is definitely good for the soul too. And then we talked about before in the past too, those that the circle, who's in our circle. I got to do a circle audit sometimes. Who am I standing next to? Are they making me sharper? Are they holding me back? Who nudges me towards excuses, or who nudges me to not make excuses? And then replace. Okay, so replace. What's one input I need to remove this week, and what input am I going to add? Am I going to add this week? So reading, watching, listening, standing next to, and replace. Okay. We'll put them in the comments after the show here. So that's your input audit. Don't overcomplicate it. That's the one thing I'm going to say is don't overcomplicate it. And I tend to overcomplicate like the simplest task and chores and personal development stuff. I really will get in there and make a freaking shit show out of it. So don't complicate it. Swap one input out for one input. You don't have to completely switch your circle, the TV shows, the news channels, that you're watching and stuff like that. But if you're watching news at night, laying in bed, or whatever the case might be, and I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of times I wake up based upon what I did the night before. How late did I eat? What was I watching? Was I scrolling? Was I looking at too much blue screen right before I went to bed? Will predict pretty much how I feel when I wake up. Bloated? Do I feel energetic? Do I feel clear-minded? And if I don't, I have to ask myself those questions. Did I stay up too late watching Fox News? Did I stay up too late, scrolling Facebook? Did I eat way too much? Did I eat that big bag of chips laying in bed? And I'm wondering why I can't lose those pounds. And all that stuff, all that negative stuff that you're feeding, that you're inputting, is not conducive to your mental or physical health, and quite frankly, your spiritual well-being either. Because how confident am I going to wake up knowing that I see that empty bag of Utz potato chips, Grandma Utz's potato chips, and I'm still guilty of it. but it usually right away I'll see it. And I didn't identify it right away. I didn't. I'll be honest with you. I didn't know that it was messing with my psyche if I'd wake up. But if I woke up and there was a half drank bottle of water or completely drank, bottle of water next to my bed, that believe it or not, makes me feel like I'm doing the next right thing. And when I get on the scales and I see that I'm down a half a pound or I'm still at my desired weight, that right there can set the tempo for my entire day. Okay. So I'm challenging, people to do, 30-day challenge and some practical moves, that we can do for the next 30 days. And it can be as simple as I use Post-it notes a lot. I'll put a Post-it note on my desk or even on my dash of the truck. And so I'm recommending putting a Post-it note on the dash of your truck, like what's playing. What am I listening to right now? Am I listening to Rush Limbaugh? Am I listening to, just somebody running their mouth? Or am I learning something? Am I listening to something positive, whether it be good, positive music? And this is what's brilliant, but very obvious. But we have that choice on what channel is on the radio. Okay. Build a 5-minute morning input stack, and I'm going to share with you kind of what I've done. 5 minutes of quiet in the morning, no phone, no computer, no nothing. 2 pages from a solid book, something that I can apply to my life. 1 text of encouragement to somebody in my family, on my crew. Right now I got this little thread going with this guy that is out of North Carolina. And then a podcast or a segment that teaches me and not rant, right? Because there's a lot of podcast people out there that just rant, that just bitch about what's going on in the world. And for me, that's not conducive. I don't really give 2 shits about, I do care. Let me digress a little bit. I do care about what's going on in the world, but I think a lot of us are getting too hemmed up in the external economy and need to focus more about our own businesses and our internal economies. And that could be at home, that could be at our place of work, but we need to mind our own and make sure our household is on lockdown and we're taking care of those that, most. And, that, what is something that I'm going to stop avoiding? What is that difficult task or that chore or thing that I need to get done? And realistically, I think three out of those 4 things take maybe 12, 15 minutes every morning. If I listen to something, I read. I read more than 2 pages. But 5 minutes without the phone, that's kind of where I chew up that 5 minutes. I read a couple pages. I read a little something in the morning at home, and I read something here at work. I just picked another book up here at work that I'm currently reading right now, that I feel is going to help me, not just today, but it's going to help shape who I want to be on this journey that I'm on right now. But also keeping an open mind. Okay. And now I want to talk about keeping an open mind without turning into, I want to call it a drift sock. And a lot of you might not, unless you fish, know what a drift sock is. A drift sock is for somebody who, like me, has a boat and has never yet got a trolling motor put on their boat. So when the wind's up and or the drift speed isn't what I want it to be, I'll throw out it's like a kite. I'll throw a kite off the side of the boat to slow the boat down on our drift. So I just thought I'd share that. Don't be a drift sock or a drift sock. Okay. Open, being open-minded is doesn't mean uncommitted. It means you're willing to test whether your way is still the best way today. Okay. And here are four tactics. I've used at home and I've used it at work, and it's before, and I'm getting better at this. And before I shut somebody down, I try to say, or I recommend, try saying their idea in a way they think is better than the way they said it. Okay. So for an example, so what you are saying is we can cut the siding with a saw. And I'm going to try to keep this construction based here because, it's called Behind the Tool Belt. So we can cut the siding with a saw instead of hand cutting each individual piece with snips. The win is fewer trips and cleaner lines. Did I get that right? Okay. If they say yes, now you're both solving the same problem. Okay. And that's really just takes keeping an open mind and not shutting them down, because when you shut them down, you're shutting yourself down to be open. And unfortunately, you're still being a part of the problem. So if they say yes, when you reiterate what they said, but in a way better than what they said it. So maybe you didn't fully understand, and maybe they can correct you and be like, no, that's not exactly, because you may not even have understood exactly what it was that they were saying to you to begin with. So number two would be the 2% truth rule. If any idea you don't like, hunt for the 2%. Okay. That's true or useful. Okay. Maybe the whole plan won't work, but the detail about staging materials could save us hours. Okay. Getting back to using a saw, cutting the siding instead of hand snips, because I see guys out there, the generation that I grew up in, we had a cut guy on the ground, and he would stack siding up and he would actually be able to cut multiple pieces. Nowadays, I see individuals working by themselves on a wall and hand cutting individual pieces of siding with a pair of hand snips. I mean, I get it. I understand that they think it's faster because they're not waiting on somebody. But when you have a good ground guy that can stay 2 steps in front of you, it's definitely going to save you time and money in the long run. So anyhow, number 3, double click questions. Ask one more question than you would want to. Okay. Walk me through this. Give me an example. What are we assuming, right? What breaks this? Get good at because it really comes down to good question asking. So that's a skill. It's a skill that I have to work on. I continuously work on asking better questions, asking more questions, even when I don't want to, especially when I don't want to ask questions. Like, I've already shut it down. Nope, that idea is stupid. No. I had an opportunity yesterday. Somebody came to us and was like, hey, how about if we do this? And I was like, cool. We have a meeting about that topic at 2:00 today. Why don't you sit in? I think it's an amazing idea, right? Well, after we all spoke about it and was like, yeah, it's great. It's great. It pulled some triggers and some memories and some thoughts that, yeah, we should be doing that. So half the time the idea improves itself under light is I guess my point, right? Ask more questions, put a light on it, and have somebody maybe explain it a different way, or you try to articulate it in the way that you've understood what they're trying to present you, because you may not fully understand it. Okay. Open-mindedness, right? God, that's such a revelation, but it is. Sounds trivial, but it's not for me anyhow. I'm a knucklehead. Okay. So once a week, if I had to prove the opposite of my favorite opinion today, how would I do it? Okay. Do it with something practical. Okay. Tools, scheduling, invoices. You'll either strengthen your view or refine them. Okay. So what I'm trying to say here is like attempt something different. If you're in the invoicing department, if you're in the siding hanging department, if you're in the whatever department, try doing it a different way once and see what the outcome is. Or take a suggestion from somebody that's been telling you, because we don't always have to be right. We don't always have to do it our way. And I would ask you this question: where in your week do you most often think my way is the only way? What's one place you'll run a small test of a different approach this week? I challenge somebody that your way isn't the only way and try it a different way. And remember, open-mindedness doesn't mean you're soft. It means you're humble, exact, and willing to learn. And I think a lot of the stuff that this kind of falls under, a lot of the topic around leadership that we talk about all the time is, I think this is a crucial piece that a lot of us leaders miss. We think that we need all the answers. We think we know better than everybody else. We think that we're smarter. We are the smartest person in the room. Fail. Huge fail. Huge freaking fail. Okay. We're going to move on to a little bit here, the dropping the old victim mindset. So let's call this out straight here. Okay. The victim mindset is tempting because it feels good for about 10 minutes. And Vic and I think we've been talking about this good. It's the easiest. It's easier. You get to be right for that 10 minutes and you don't have to do anything. You can just be negative Nelly and play the victim. So the bill later is heavy when you do that, right? Resentment, stuck projects, and the same week repeats over and over and over. I'm the victim. Nothing works out right. And here's the upgrade. Okay. Event. We have a choice and there's going to be an outcome. Okay. And you can't always pick the event. I can't always predict the situation that's going to happen. However, I can always pick my next choice. Okay. How I respond, how I react. And here's an example, okay, of victim and ownership. Okay. Victim would say something along the lines, the inspector screwed us. Okay. Ownership would be more like, we missed the spec change. Next time we review the updated spec sheet and we'll try to do better. Okay. Victim. And this was me. My crew never listens. Okay. Ownership. Ownership would be, I didn't make the standard visual, right? I didn't articulate the message. I didn't follow up. Today, I will post a checklist and review it at 3:30 and follow up with everybody. Okay. Victim mindset. Clients always want cheap. Okay. Ownership. I haven't learned how to show value early. Today or tomorrow, I will bring a sample board and a cost of not doing it chart. I will show value early in the conversation. Okay. Notice something? Ownership keeps your power. Okay. You keep the power. It doesn't let the event dictate your next move. Okay. And sometimes when you behave poorly, you can't even dictate your next move because that offended person or persons or situation, they dictate the outcome for you. You either get hauled off in handcuffs, you get thrown off a job site. It's not working together. It's not keeping an open mind, even no matter how hard it stings, no matter how much it burns, right? Keep your head, keep the power. Okay. So again, getting back to the inspector where, we had an inspector fail us, okay, over just some minor safety rails. Old me would have flew off the freaking handle. Okay. The new me, I honestly thought, shows up. I honestly thought we built it right. I thought we built it to code. I asked the inspector for 5 minutes of his time to, document his exact expectations without flying off the handle, without being an arrogant asshole. I actually wanted to learn something. Okay. Can you write, or can you show me in the book, or when was this updated? When was this code updated? And then moving forward, we can make a simple pre-check inspection check sheet for the next time we, I don't know, have to put safety handrails on something, right? I'm just trying to pull some shit out of my ass here real quick. Yeah, keep an open mind. Not saying that we can't justify in our heads when we're right and they're wrong. There's a way to go about it, right? There's a way to handle situations, and there's a way much further, right? What do they call it? You get a lot further with sugar than you do vinegar. My mom taught me that a long time ago. I actually ask myself this question some days. Do I handle this the Ann Backer, like Ann Backer, or do I handle this like Bob Backer? And some situations do require a Bob Backer. Don't get it twisted. And don't ever piss my mom off. She would have gave you anything, but don't ever piss her off. Same goes for my dad. I've seen my dad go bend over backwards for people and end up getting screwed. So anyhow, three steps to exit the victim mode. Okay. So first one is name the event. Okay. Without drama. Okay. The event was, we missed the delivery date. We didn't finish the project on time. Okay. Then name your controllable, the next action. Okay. Call supplier, get updates when materials and products are going to come in. Okay. Number 3 would be name the safeguard. Okay. So it doesn't repeat. So we don't do this again. Okay. Add a 24-hour confirmation, text or email in the AM, on delivery check. Okay. All of that falls back on me. All of that is lack of something on my behalf of not following up with distribution to make sure, not checking the weather the night before, not behaving accordingly when things don't go the way that I think they should have went. So the guided exercise, right? So think of one situation this month where you've been stuck in blame. Okay. You got one finger, you got 3 pointing back. See these 3 pointing back at me. Every time I point the finger, I got 3 pointing back at me. So think of a situation this month where you've been stuck on blame. Okay. The event was, okay, shingle showed up late. My controllable next move is my safeguard, number 3, my safeguard, so this doesn't happen again. Simple. The event was my controllable next move, okay, and the safeguard, so it doesn't repeat again, okay? That move right there will move you out of victim mode and become the victor, the builder. I like to use the word victor because Vic's my best friend. Yeah. Okay, so here's some other cool little nuggets that I want to share too about so we can keep pushing without getting burnt out, right? A five little drill thing that I rehash kind of through my head here. I came up with this a couple months ago to kind of keep pushing and keep suiting up and keep showing up and keeping a smile on my face and stuff. And one is minimal viable day. Okay. On the hardest days, I have to pick 3 non-negotiables. Okay. One of them is what is one needle moving task that I know is going to move the needle that's non-negotiable. Okay. What can I do today that's going to move the needle? Okay. So I don't have any guilt, shame, insecurities, whatever tomorrow. Okay. Another one is what is one relationship that I can touch? Okay. Who can I reach out to? Whether it be a client, a crew member, home, call home, Jana, hey babe, I love you. How you doing? Right. And then the what do we want to call it? Regeneration Act. And I started this recently. One of these things, walk, stretch, decent meal. Obviously I try to eat as best as I can, but I started doing these core exercises on my floor in my office. If I start to feel overwhelmed, anxious, anxiety, I started to do these stretches. I've been having some issues with my hips and my pelvic being super tight. And I was taught, someone who showed me some exercises that I can simply do anywhere as long as there's enough room for me to get on the floor. And I started doing some exercises, and then one from sitting all day long, as simple as putting your hands on your hips and pushing your hips out and tilting back is actually super good for your spine. If you're somebody that sits all day, it's a stretch that you can do. And there's a couple other things if anybody wants to know what I've been doing here lately. And I actually went to the chiropractor last night and he told me, so I've been having issues with my pelvic, like slipping out of place, and it's creating all kinds of hip and back, lower back issues and stuff like that. And yesterday I actually got some good news from my chiropractor where he had said that he's been seeing me for a while. He's never seen my lower back as strong as it is right now, and that my pelvic actually had stayed in place for over a week. So that's good news. And it's from utilizing an exercise that I predominantly use when I get a little anxious, right? So instead of sitting there wallowing in my shit and stressing and freezing and being frozen in place, I'll get up and I do pace. I'm known for pacing a lot, but this stretch that I've been doing has really not only helped my stress, day-to-day stressors, but it has also helped me physically, which in turn makes me just mentally feel a lot better about me, right? And I'm not breaking those promises that I make to myself on a day-to-day basis. And if you nail all three of those on a day-to-day basis, you won the day, okay? So what's going to move the needle? Okay, what am I going to do today that's going to move the needle? Okay, one relationship touch and one regeneration act. Okay, what am I going to do? What movement am I going to do? Now, fortunately, I also work out a good bit. Okay, the 90-second reset. I've done this quite often here lately. The frustration spikes. Getting ready to lose my shit. Got to step away. Set. And I started doing some breathing in this 90 seconds here. And Vic and I learned something. We went on a trip with Erico and those guys, and I want to say his name is Dr. Gary. Taught us some, and I even got the app on my phone so I can listen to that stuff and do some breathing. So I don't have to set like a 90-second timer on my phone or anything like that. And simply breathe. I don't know if some of this might sound corny, and I was a disbeliever until he hooked us up on a machine and was reading our pulse, our heart rate, our age, our internal age, I think he was calling it. And when he first hooked us up on it, my internal age was freaking ancient. I was old. And then after some real quick, easy breathing technique, oh man, it was below my age, right? My heart rate was at an age, younger than what I am, and some other matrix that he was measuring. It was good. It was good stuff. I see, my hands come certain of my righteousness. That's right. Yeah. I'm certain I got it. I'm going to die on this hill. I'm going to do it. So deep belly, in through your nose, slow out through your mouth, and your brain stops flooding your body, and you get your thinking back. At least I do, and I'm pretty sure just about everybody else will. Breathing is a pretty cool technique. Simple. You can do it anywhere. You go into the bathroom, 2 minutes, minute and a half. Okay. Focus on your breathing. I put one hand on my stomach so I can feel my diaphragm contracting in there. And then progress receipts. Keep a running list of what got better this quarter. Repeat clients, fewer callbacks, faster estimates, one apprentice, one mentoree, stepping up, whatever, and reading it on a bad day. Okay, proof beats feelings, right? So write down some wins, okay, for the quarter. Write down some wins from the year. Write down wins from freaking the week, okay, and rehash them next week, okay, and then run the drill. When chaos hits, script your next 3 moves, okay. Call the supplier, reshuffle the crew, update the customer, then run the drill without emotion, okay. Adjust after that. If you got to make an uncomfortable phone call, kind of figure out, if you got to send out an uncomfortable email or whatever the case might be, rehearse it in your head. Okay. Don't overthink it. All right. The important thing is that you made that phone call. You told the home, you got to call the homeowner, and you got to let them know, once again, you're not going to make it. You would much rather have somebody pissed off at you for 5 minutes than 5 hours wondering where the guys are the next morning. So make the call the night before. Can't make it tomorrow again. I'm sorry. And don't feed them a lot of shit. I don't know, some bullshit excuses. Nobody wants to hear excuses. They want to hear results. Okay. And then the rule of the thirds. I think I got this from Ed Milet. If you break your day up into thirds, okay, and let's just say the first third was mediocre, or it was good. Morning started out great. Okay. And then the second third was okay. And then the third of your day was shit. Don't let that dictate how the rest of your day goes. Don't take that shit home. Okay. If your day ends horribly, do some of the exercises that we talked about here a little bit. Okay. Review what could move the needle. Did I make that phone call? Did I forget to make that phone call? Do I need to reach out to a homeowner? Did I do my 90-second breathing? And then also get back to the event. Okay. Our actions, right? What am I going to do? How am I going to react? How am I going to respond? Right. Because we, as individuals, I don't think realize how much we affect those around us, our behaviors, our actions, good or bad. It affects those around us. And if you're in a leadership, a parenting role, I mean, usually all eyes are on us, and we set the tone. So, ask yourself this question, and I've been asking myself this question a lot. It's like, what's one tough stretch I'm in right now? What drill fits? Okay, what drill fits? Push doesn't mean forever. Doesn't mean forever. It just means consistency over drama. Okay, the journey. It's about the journey and not necessarily the finish line. I want to dive into this a little bit here, and then I promise I'll shut the hell up and let you guys go about your day. Because I always think about the finish line, right? I think about the ribbon cutting, the final draws, the paid invoices, but most of our lives happen between the finish lines, the journey. Okay. And how we show up daily, how we treat people, what we learn under pressure. That's the person we're building. That is the person I'm becoming. How I handled those situations. Did I suit up? Did I show up? Did I stay consistent? Okay. And again, this plays back to the confidence, the lack of anxiety. If I continuously suit up and show up, no matter how tough things seem to get, right? I still moved the needle. I still made that one touch. I called that homeowner to let them know I'm not stacking negatives. I'm continuously stacking many wins, many wins. And I'm not stacking because there's the opposite. We don't talk enough about everyone wants stacking those wins. Well, let's talk about when I'm not stacking wins. Let's talk about the times where I'm stacking all this negative shit, where I'm not following up, I'm not following through, I'm not making those difficult calls, I'm not having those difficult conversations. And here's the truth, okay? After the tough times, I'm not the same. I'm stronger, I'm sharper, I'm more patient. Okay. I didn't bail. I suited up. I showed up. And I try to think of a hard season that I survived, or a hard situation that I went through, whether it be in my childhood. And I've been in some real hairy, sticky, uncomfortable situations. So I try to always go back to that. And that's kind of why we say get comfortable being uncomfortable, because we intentionally put ourselves in uncomfortable, healthy, uncomfortable situations in order to make us stronger, brighter, sharper, better human beings. So we're preparing ourselves for those difficult times. Okay. Remember that. Scuba diving has been one of those situations for me that's very uncomfortable, but I knew it was going to make me a better human being. It was going to make me a stronger human being. And that was due to the sum of those I surrounded myself with. I surrounded myself around people that don't put up with my excuses, people that push me to be better people, right? That talked me into going scuba diving, which I thought was the stupidest thing ever. But now I think it's one of the most amazing gifts that I've ever been given. So when you're going through a hard time, try to think of a hard time. It doesn't necessarily have to be harder, but think that, well, I survived that, right? And what skill did it force me to build? Okay. Was it better scheduling? Was it boundaries? Was it I needed to communicate better? And I'm speaking from experience, right? Scheduling, boundaries, and communication. I'm horrible at all three of them, but through my hard times, I've learned to communicate better. I've learned to schedule better. I've learned to set boundaries. Okay. And where do I use skills today to create new wins? Okay. And that's why it's not about the finish line. It's about the journey. The journey is the workshop where you become the person who can handle the finish line, right? When the finish line gets there, because it typically means there's going to be some more drama or dilemmas, because you probably built something bigger, better, right? Which creates different issues. Things break, right? It's never usually what we expected it to be anyhow when we get there. So prepare yourself. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Okay. And I want to leave you with some questions here to carry into next week. Okay. And answer one today, one tomorrow, and one over the weekend. Inputs. Okay. What's one input you'll cut out for 30 days? Okay. Is it not watching the news at night? Is it not eating a whole bag of Grandma Utz's chips in bed? Whatever. What's one input? What is one piece of trash that I'm feeding my head, I'm feeding my body, that I'm going to remove? And what's one that I'm going to add? And why those? Okay. That's question, or that's one. Number two, open-minded. Okay. Where will I run a tiny test to see if there's a better way than mine? Okay. Because we were talking about or the highway. Okay. And then ownership. Okay. What sentence can I rewrite from victim mentality to ownership? Tough times, which drills? What am I going to rewrite? Okay. So little recap here. During tough times, which drill am I going to apply? Am I going to do a 90 second reset? Which am I going to allow 1/3 of my day dictate the rest of my day? I used to be horrible at that. Something would happen to me in the morning. and man, it would dictate the rest of my day. I mean, completely. I would completely remove all of the positive things that are in my life because of this one situation would just completely. And I'm not saying I don't get stuck for about 5, 15, 20 minutes in it. I'm not saying I'm a duck's ass. What I'm saying is, though, I cannot let the rest of my day be ruined or dictate the outcome and spoil everybody else's day because I had a bad moment. It's just, this too shall pass. So yeah, the lessons from the hard seasons are paying off. You know what I mean? If I continue to keep thinking about this the way that I am, why is it happening for me? I may not be able to see it right this second, but I really truly believe if you dig into that, why is this happening to me right now? And if you can flip that to why is this happening for me, you will come up with something of why it's happening for you and not to you, because that's the victim mindset. That's that bitch voice in your head. Okay. It'll pay dividends. Trust me. I've tested it. So if you want me to read your answers next week, DM me or email me at ty@beyondtoolbelt.com and put in the subject line Tool Belt EP 305, and that way I'll read your answers here. So just a quick recap: inputs shape outputs. Okay, audit what you read, watch, listen, and who you stand next to. Okay, open mind, strong standards, the 2% truth. Okay, ask one more question and test the opposite. Okay. Drop victimhood, choose ownership, event, choice, outcome. Swap your language, keep the power. Okay. Keep the power. The moment you show your ass is the moment you lose all power. Okay. Push through the heavy days. Okay. Minimal viable day, 90-second reset, progress receipts, run the drill, rule of the third. Okay. Don't let 1/3 of your day ruin the other 2/3. Okay. Love the journey. I know it's hard. I know it's hard, man. But love the journey. The lessons in motion make you the person who can finish well. Okay. We'll make it to the finish line together here. So anyhow, this has been another amazing episode of Behind the Tool Belt. Inputs, mindset, the long game. Okay. If today helped you or anyone you know, or you think somebody might listen to this, share it with one person on your crew and leave a quick rating. I don't know if anybody's ever rated this yet, but helps more builders find the show, right? And we're builders. We're all building shit here, right? Tell me your input audit swap for the week. Send me your victim to ownership sentence. And if you run one opposite day test on your progress, I want to hear the results. Reach out to me again, DM me or tie it at behindthetoolbelt.com. And remember, the tools in your belt matter, but the tools in your head decide how far you'll go. Okay. Usually the only thing that's going wrong is the 6 inches between your ears. Keep building. I love you guys, and I will see you on the next one.